I'm going to adjust the levels on this image so that the lights are a lot brighter. You can see that the outer edge is looking kind of gray, and I can really confirm that by using an eyedropper, clicking in here. See, there's white, and here is the color of that outer edge. Now, instead of just eyeballing it, I'm going to use what's called the threshold to determine where my brightest white is. So I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Threshold. And it's going to convert everything to black and white. I'm going to take it down so that there's absolutely no light, and then slide it in until I start to see some light. And this is telling me that the brightest area of my border is really up here at the top. So I'm going to use this zone right under my 25, and if I cancel my threshold, I'm just going to remember that that is the zone that I'm going to use as my baseline for my lights so I don't overdo it. So I'll do Image Adjustments, Levels, and this is where I'm going to redistribute my light. It's showing me the chart of what I have in this document from darkest dark to lightest light. This is this document. So I have absolutely nothing that is corresponding to this value range, and the lightest thing I have is this sort of gray, which we've already seen. I don't have anything that's pure black. Apparently there's a tiny little something that is sort of almost black, and then really our darks in this document start about here in value range, which is probably this stuff. Okay, so redistributing. For this, I'm just going to brighten up my lights and not do anything else. So instead of doing sort of by hand, which I do in other situations, I'm going to use the white eyedropper. I'm going to come up here to where I think my white should be and say, let's let that determine what is white and sort of make everything else fall in line. So you can see that that is brighter actually than what's happening over here, but still I basically don't want anything to be, like if I made this my white, then I'm going to start burning out information that I need. So I'm going to cancel that. So I don't want to overdo it. I'm going to say just that's the lightest light. I will say OK. Now to take care of what is still sort of gray means I have to spot lighten. So I'm going to use the dodge tool, and that's an old photography term saying spot lightening. There's also under it the burn tool that's spot darkening, but I just want to spot lighten. And I'm going to use a really big brush, and I'm going to come up here and say I want to lighten the highlights, and I want to do it in such a tiny amount. I'm going to do just 3%. I want it to be so faint. So I can tell that I haven't clicked anything yet, but I can tell that it's darker in the border here than it is in the center. So I'm going to start by sweeping across that and sweeping down the side and along the bottom. And it should be barely detectable. It should be so slight, but if we sweep over a couple of times, then it's going to start making the difference that we want. And we can start checking to see how the lights compare using our eyedropper. My Photoshop's a little slow catching up with me here because the dodge tools takes a lot of work. So if I go to my eyedropper now and compare this value versus, click on this so I can see it, so there it is, versus over here, I've actually gotten lighter here, and it's darker up in this mid area, so I've over lightened. Let's make this a baseline. It's a little lighter here. So I just need to do a little more of a sweep with my dodge, just up in the corners. And now that's looking pretty consistent. I haven't burned out anything. Nothing looks sort of like over lightened. So I'm going to save that.